I feel it's a calling, because every time I try to vie away from it, because sometimes I will tell you now, because I just feel for us men too, it's okay for us to be vulnerable, but this is actually one of the most difficult things for men to do. We don't want to do that. I don't want to do it many times. Many times I cry, but I don't want to cry in the presence of people that will say, why is he crying now? Because some people don't think men should cry. But to answer your question, for me, I feel such a strong conviction that I did not have some of these things growing up. And one of the things that developed the conviction in me is the fact that even though my dad was present, but I left home at a very early age. I left home when I was 19 years old. Apparently, you will say maybe I have enough, but I had to leave. Why did I leave home? I shared that story the other time on the podcast. My dad was living a life that I was looking like, this is not how I want to live. This is not how I want to live. My dad was a polygamist, so to say. I see a couple of wives after my mom, and I saw the competition between my mom and those women. When I said women, not so it means it was not one of them. One will come, spend 1 or 2 years, I say, I can't deal with this man's nonsense, and she will leave. And another one will come, and I saw this for a couple of years, and I just told myself, no, I am not going to do this. And that was what made me to say, you know what, I'm going to get out of this place. And when I was living that time, because at 19, what do you know? And I'm saying this to a lot of people. You probably think you know a lot, but you don't know nothing. At the age of 19, you don't know the world that is waiting for you out there. But for me, what saved me was those little support and education and discipline that I got in those 19 years that I stayed with my parents. So when I branched out, I continued on that path. And I've said this before, books helped save my life. I will always say it. I read books, and I think I also use that word more now. I also filter my mind. Whatever I think is not right, I don't do. Whatever I think I shouldn't go, I don't go. So I did, growing up and seeing how through the inspiration of God, because if I said it was me, I would be a liar. Through books that I was mentored by, through me meeting Christ at the age of 28, which I think was the biggest change of all for me, I decided to say there are many men, many boys like me out there that are in the same place I was, and they need help. How do I reach out to these guys? Because it's a different thing for you to reach out, and it's another thing for them to be willing to accept your hand of gesture. Like, okay, what is he telling us? So how to reach out, and the continuous development on my path to be able to help these young men is what made me to continue doing this. And as part of what we plan to do with my nonprofit, yes, we're going to have 120 boys at the academy. But I mean, out of millions of them out there, 120 of them is not just enough. So I know some people might want to ask. So we go beyond that. We have 2 programs also. We call one Rising Stars. Rising Stars is basically a mentoring program, which is going to be monthly. So from January to December of every year, we're going to have 12 Rising Star sessions. And what that entails is we're going to have a group of young men. If you're ages 13 and 18, you play sport, or you are a young man or a young woman, and you are looking for mentoring, you are looking for resource, we're going to offer you the opportunity we're going to be in a hall, all of us together. Bring a resource person. It could be me, it could be you, it could be someone doing something positive in their life, to come and share what it means to be an adult with you. For you to understand that life does not happen on a fast lane. For you to understand that there is a time to plant and there's a time to reap. That you cannot be born today and tomorrow you start crawling or walking. That everything is a process. That you are not a failure. That because your father is not in your life does not mean you cannot make it. So this is going to be one of our outreach programs. So we're going to be doing that as part of our development. The second one is crossing bridges. And that happens to be the name of my podcast before. Crossing Bridges is our second outreach program, which is going to be by month, every other month, every 3 months. That means we're going to have 4 of it in a year. And this one means we're going to go to underserved environment. There are many of them in Houston. There are many of them in the state of Texas. We're going to go to that environment. We're going to organize a day tournament. We're going to ask moms that are raising young boys, single moms, single parents, come out, bring the kids out. Come and let them hear from us. Bring them to an atmosphere of event and tournament. They're going to play soccer. We're still going to give them soccer balls. And at the end of the day, we hope to appreciate the moms, the dads for doing the job they are doing. So we are hoping that through these 2 outreach programs, we can reach hundreds, thousands, and hopefully millions in the nearest future.